Welcome to the Wildspire Conversations podcast. You get to be a fly on the wall for my intimate coaching sessions with inspiring entrepreneurs who are changing the world. I'm your host, Stephanie Benedetto Padovani, wild creation coach and soul storyteller at The Awakened Business, where I help coaches, therapists, and creative entrepreneurs craft an irresistible message and broadcast it to the world. In each conversation, I'll ask curious, playful questions, challenging us to connect with the deeper purpose and joy of what we're here to do. We may experience one or more of the following: articulation of their soul's message and mission, life-changing stories, insights, ahas, and wisdom nuggets, ideas for new products, services, or businesses. Truth is, I have no idea exactly what will emerge, because there's no agenda for this conversation. Anything can happen when we step into the unknown of infinite creativity, and that's where we're going to play. It's time to get wildspired. My guest today is Barry Friedman. As a lifelong entrepreneur, 4-time world juggling champion, 6-time TED speaker, and guest on over 250 national television shows, including The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. By the way, you may wish to Google Raspini Brothers on YouTube to watch his appearance, or one of his appearances on The Tonight Show. Barry Friedman knows a thing or two about taking fast action. He's the king of swing for the fences and playing bigger. Now, between 1982 and 2016, he toured the world doing high-profile shows for corporate audiences, television shows, and opening acts for dozens of celebrity headliners, including Robin Williams, Patti LaBelle, and Howie Mandel. He used those same marketing chops to run multiple six-figure online businesses. And Barry is currently a launch club coach with Jeff Walker's product launch formula program and the inspiration for entertainers around the world at showbizblueprint.com. Barry and I were in a mastermind together for many years, and I know him as someone who constantly pushes himself and others to play bigger, to go bolder, to really go after what you want. I've seen Barry do this firsthand. I've been in the front row to watch him pull off some really audacious things and see amazing things come of it, such as presenting high-priced coaching offers, inviting celebrities and people who most of us would think, how could I possibly try to reach this person, inviting them to conversations. And it's almost as if it didn't make him shake in his shoes, it wasn't big enough for Barry. So in this conversation, we touch on that, and one of my takeaways was that it's not always about pushing yourself to do more, going further, or being better. Sometimes it's about honoring and being with what's happening right here and how amazing that is in this moment. That's what I came away with, one of many things. So I hope that you enjoy this very meandering but thoroughly enjoyable conversation with colorful anecdotes, challenging questions. It's got vulnerable moments and oodles of heart. So, Barry, I'm so excited to be talking to you today.
Yeah, and I listened to that and I'm like, okay, wow. I guess I did all that stuff and I do that stuff and that's me. That's fine. It's perfect.
Oh, just you wait. You have no idea how amazing you are.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you get to hear outside reflections like introductions or something, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah. And they're all like chinks on the armor, or pieces of the mosaic of who we are in life, and it's fantastic. Yeah. Love it.
Chinks on the armor and the mosaic. We're going there already. Awesome. So, Barry, is there anything in particular that you would like to create or receive or explore in our time together today?
Yeah, I'm always open to finding alchemy. Alchemy is a great word. It's kind of something I trust, and it's a magic, and it's a wisdom inside of me and inside the world. And I think, well, I don't think I know, as I've trusted that. Sometimes it's funny. I've asked for things in my life and they've always shown up in some package that I was like, oh, that's how that came. So that's alchemy to me, is just kind of putting out what I want and just saying, I don't know how it's going to get here, or I don't know how it's going to be, but I trust it'll show up.
So, wow, like what particular alchemy are you asking for? If you could ask for anything.
My current alchemy is is world based. I've created so much in my life that I love. Now I'm ready to look for something a little bit bigger for this world. It's funny, like during COVID-19 stuff in LA and San Francisco, New York, like it's cultures. There's animals walking in the street. There's no traffic in LA. I was talking to a friend of mine in LA last night. He was driving at rush hour. He said this is the exact same as driving it at 11 or 12 at night. There's just
Wow.
everything sailing. So I don't think the world's going back to that, but how do we take the best of what we've learned during this stuff, during this time, and incorporate it into the return, whatever the return is going to be? That's an alchemy that I'm willing to trust exists somehow out there.
So an alchemy that takes all of the amazing things that we're learning and the opportunities. And I do see like so much creativity coming out, even, I mean, and maybe
Oh,
it's just the circles that I run in, but I am not seeing, by and large, the negativity and, the despair. I know that I'm sure that must be there. People are hurting. I've had moments of like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? What am I doing? What's happening? But by and large, I see this creativity. So like, what are you seeing right now? And in the work that you're doing, I'm curious because I know you've been doing a lot with entertainers and with product
sure.
launch. Maybe give me a little bit of an overview of what you're doing.
Yeah. High level, what I've seen in the world is I saw Elton John playing from his living room the other night for people.
Yeah.
I sat in a 12-step meeting with Ron Wood from the Rolling Stones. I mean, this is bringing out sides of people that we've never even, yeah, there was no reason. The invitations are everywhere and people are showing up, and I love that. So uh, oh man, what's happening, in the world? I started something in 2011 called Showbiz Blueprint. It was showing entertainers how to master the business side of show business, which entertainers were never trained in that world. That program starts every spring, once a year it runs, and this spring it makes no sense. It makes about as much sense as saying go into a market and shake 100 people's hands. It's just not going to happen because
Mm,
week one I taught people about call 10 past clients and have this conversation, call 30 events happening and have this conversation, and there's no events right now. So the world is pivoting. So I do look at entertainers. I did something on Facebook and YouTube the other day. I live streamed out the entertainer's State of the Union address, which was like,
mm,
wow, what a bold thing to do. And you know what it took? It took going on to Canva and making a graphic that says the entertainer's State of the Union address. And I went and I did it and had over 1,000 people watching it. And then I made an offer to sit with entertainers and brainstorm about what they could be doing virtually, how they could sharpen their axe so that when the world does return, here's what we do. And man, it's remarkable. I'm finding out something wonderful inside of this isolation, and I'm finding a togetherness that looks so different. And really, we talked about, well, culture talked about how the big change is going to happen. How we're going to get to see ourselves, a reflection of ourselves, and make some change that actually matters. I don't think anyone saw it coming this way, but I look around and I see, oh, we're getting to see a different side of ourselves as culture. We're getting to act differently, to hear different messages, to just slow down and turn the volume down. And, I will own that's a very privileged look at the world. I know, man, I see the panic around countries. I see in the world, there's a lot going on, and it's all part of a shuffle. We didn't know how this shuffle was going to happen. We didn't know what it was going to look like, but there's a lot of gold popping out of this thing. And even in the fears, there's transformation happening.
mm. Yeah, I really see that. So as we move out of this, and though we don't know what it's going to look like what do you see for yourself and your work in the world that you
Mhm.
personally are taking from this? Like some of these things that you hit upon. I'm wondering what this looks like for you, bringing
Yeah.
out a different side of yourself, really showing up in togetherness and connectedness in a way that is different maybe than you've done before.
Yeah.
Having a pace that's different is maybe slowing down that's, bringing out the gold that's been waiting to be discovered, alchemizing, right?
Nah.
What do you sense, if you could like just envision that and create that right now, what would that be for you?
Hmm. What's funny is chapter in my life, my wife and I were married 15 years and we had this kid and he's 18 now and he's heading off. He just got accepted to a really neat film school that it was, I would say it was a stretch, but it was more of a dream, more like a fantasy. Well, like we went down there in November and my head was telling me about 12 reasons this wouldn't work out for us. You know, his grades, the alumni, the low acceptance rate, the cost of it. I mean, every single thing was smartest thing I ever did was keep those stories not coming out my mouth, but just in between my two ears.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't bring them out into the world, but I was looking around going, but yeah, so he got accepted and they gave him a bunch of scholarship to go there. So wonderful. So that chapter in my life is going to look like, what's it look like for the next chapter of my wife and I to go back to having our twosome relationship, after this chapter of threesome. So, hey, there's creativity abounds, Steph. I've never stopped creating. I became a professional juggler at age 20. I won 4 world juggling championships and got to hit 6 TED stages in my career and over 250 television shows and 2,500 corporate events, everywhere in the world, and all from something that could have easily just been a birthday party act that I perform for $150 for people. So I've never believed too much in the stories that were coming from the outside. Even during this COVID time, I have a 60-second time limit. I set the old master phone for 60 seconds, and that's how much time I give myself every day to kind of look at what's happening in the world in news. In 60 seconds, I can get all of it.
Sounds like plenty. Yeah.
Oh my God, I can get all of it. I do Google News. I kind of read like a couple headlines, things that are happening, who's saying what, and then the timer goes off, and I'm just back to creating. I'm back to work. But and 60 seconds is a big jump for me. I was more down around the 0 level. I don't really care what's happening too much outside. I think there's a great piece of creation for me personally. I don't know, listeners may have some other option, but I need very little of the outside soundtrack to create or what I want to create. It just, I think being in the media and being entertainment, I know that the goals of big media and big news are very different than my goals as a creator, as an artist. Their goal is to keep the eyeballs hooked as long as possible and see so many of the ads. My goal is to take what's inside of me, the audiences, the tribes I serve in the world, and put myself more in those conversations. Like, what do entertainers need? What is a great magician who's been working at county fairs for the last 12 years need to move up to working at a casino show or doing corporate events? Like, I love that conversation. I don't get that by hooking myself on YouTube or the news.
So
did I come anywhere near answering your question? I don't think so.
Not really, but that's okay because we'll just get there another way. You're not gonna weasel your way out of this, Mr. Friedman.
Yeah. Oh.
This is all voluntary.
That's right. Absolutely.
You are here of your own free will, I think, if there is even such a thing as free will. Oh no, don't go there. Please stop. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, I want to know about your vision, and vision like this. So if you were going to complete this sentence, my vision is a world where fill in the blank. Yeah. What would that be?
I have a mission, and it's along the lines to create a world of open and honest communication by setting that example. Quick and easy as I can make it. That's what I do. I think before I open my mouth, is this honest? Is it true? Because for 45 years of my life, I didn't do that. And things got a lot better once I started doing that. So, yeah. What's the open and honest answer to this? What's the what makes me feel like I'm still standing on my solid foundation of who I am as a person? Can I say this, whatever that sentence is, to somebody? Can I have this conversation? Can I give this advice? Is it open? Is it honest? That's my vision. And really the only way I know how to create that is to be an example, right? To do it. That's what I do.
So you do it by being an example. I think that what I've seen of you, Barry, is this tremendous bold, audacious. I mean, even from the time you were young and the whole world essentially telling you you can't make a living as a juggler, you're going to be poor in the streets, and going, yes, I'm going to do it. And like
Yeah.
every step of the way. And I have seen you, you know, I've known you for years, and all the time I've seen you, I think about your swinging for the fences. Are you still doing that
Every day.
every day? Like,
I got a
so
crazy.
tell me about swinging for the fences, because it seems like that's part of the vision too. Like there's something
Yeah.
way bigger that you're trying to pull out of yourself.
Yeah.
What's that?
Swinging for the fences is part of what I call life first. It came from Michael Michalowicz's book called Profit First, where he says, you know, when you get $100 in, here's where that $100 goes into these different 4 or 5 accounts, depending on how you run your life. And I thought, well, every day I get 24 hours. So I just made these accounts, you know, personal growth, 2 hours, money-making activities, 4 hours, family, life, eating, paying bills, 4 hours, swinging for the fences, 2 hours, sleeping 6 hours, and then flex time, 6 hours. So that's a 24-hour day. And swinging for the fences, man, that's like my favorite part of the day. I usually start on LinkedIn and I just say, who does this little devil on my left shoulder say you're not good enough to talk to, or you have nothing to add to their life? And I drop them a line, or I pick up the phone and I make a call. Swinging for the fences is the crazy stuff. And it's led to every good opportunity I've had. It's led to everybody I've met, everyone who said, wow, yeah, I'll write the foreword for your book. I'll be interviewed for you. I'll jump on that panel with you. You want to do this? Doesn't matter. And I work some coaching work for Jeff Walker, who runs Product Launch Formula, arguably the largest training on the internet for entrepreneurs. That is going maybe 15 years now, which internet world, it's very old, but started from a simple conversation, just kind of saying, I've been a client of his for a long time, and one email started a conversation. So swinging for the fences is great. It's the the angel and the devil. It's like it's the big one of these to the left shoulder every day, for 2 hours a day. I just kind of go, who doesn't it make any sense to talk to? I'm getting to meet this artist who I just love. I mean, the biggest, like his lyrics kick my butt, and I'm getting to do a little private thing with him just because I reached out and just because the little voice told me, too famous, too much of this, but really a line in his song really kicked my ass. And just
What was it? Would you share?
it's from the Airborne Toxic event, maybe a band no one's ever heard of.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's a song called Innocence, which the entire song is my life. There's 3 parts of the song. And he talks in there about how when everything is inside, it's just shut down. When we can't do it, when we can't find it, what's that one glimmer? What's that one little piece that we look up and say, shit, if I just get that, if I just aim for that and get rid of 99.9% of the other stuff and just look at that one thing, how much power do I have inside of me? Can I become who I really am? And so many times in my life, I've looked for just that 1.1% and gone for it. And you mentioned juggling. I was told by everyone in the world that was a dead end job, and not a dead end job at all.
No, it has taken you to some absolutely amazing places.
Yeah.
So what is the gift that you most want to give the world through this open and honest communication that you're modeling for them? What do you want them to get from your example?
Wow, my brain's getting tripped up on what do I want them to get. I've so never been someone who pushes things on people, but if they do look to me, or if they ask and they have some conversation, maybe they find inside themselves like, oh, that dude is compassionately uncaring about what I think about them. Or, maybe that's what it is. I certainly don't want to push anything. I don't offer anything saying, hey, I've got the secret for you, enter your credit card number here. But if people look at me or have a conversation with me, see something that I do or see something that I've done in my life as an entertainer and how I've done it, and they say, hey, I'd like to do that. Then it's like, great. Start being 100% honest. Turn off your TV. It's funny. I have all these things in my contract. When people start Showbiz Blueprint, they're like, I go for 10 weeks, you won't watch news. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I was like that soundtrack doesn't support anything in where you've told me in this application you want to go. So we're just for 10 weeks, like you're not going to watch news. I don't know if I can do that. No problem. I'll refund you. And next year to see if you want to watch news, see if you don't want to watch news for 10 weeks. Oh, no. Hey, I'll do it. So we check in. It's great. So I guess what I would want people to learn to do is to trust themselves, is to create a world of open and honest communication by setting that example. That's what I'd really like people to do.
What is, oh, you're taking that easy way out there, man. Let's see. All right. So
wait, did I? I just kind of wanted to bring it back to you asked what my vision was. That would be a kind of cool vision.
Oh, it is a really cool vision. Yeah. Is that the vision you would have, to create a world like that, to really like inspire people to create that world of open and honest communication by doing it, by being it themselves?
In 1 second, I'd cash anything I had in for that pill. I mean, if we could wave that wand over the world, because really, I mean, what are we here for? We've created a whole bunch of stuff as human beings and as a culture that we've only made necessary. I mean, it's funny. Look at the importance in the place technology has in our world. And it didn't even exist. It's just something we've created, and now it's become the focus. I like cultures, and I don't remember where I read it, but I read about how native peoples always made decisions based on 7 generations ahead. Would it help 7 generations ahead? Fuck, Steph, I'd be amazed right now if we made decisions based on what would help us 7 hours ahead.
Yeah.
I don't think that's showing up right now. I think it's way more 7 seconds, 7 minutes. And no, boy, the thought of 7 generations, I can't think of a decision we've made as a culture, as a people in the last 50 years that's been for 7 generations ahead. And that's without doing any math. It may be 100 years since we've really made that decision. I don't know. But yeah, I got pretty choked up and thought, wow, how does what's a world like where we make decisions for for my son's great grandkids?
Wow.
Not this world.
If you were showing up after this time that we've had with all these gifts that you're learning, this new, like showing different sides of yourself and forming these new connections with people in this new way, and you are showing up in that with that awareness of open and honest communication and setting the example for 7 generations into the future, what would be different?
Big question, man. In the easy, you talk about me skirting around the edges. I could easily just say I'm doing it. And am I? I don't know. I feel like I do. I feel like I've done it with my son for 18 years. I've certainly done it with personal growth work I've done. I do it when I go live out in the woods 3 or 4 weekends a year at Mankind Project weekends. Seminars that I attend. I just hang around people that I think are coming from a place of a bigger picture. And look, before this starts to sound Pollyannic and like, I don't know if the math on this is possible to live for 7 generations as we approach 7.5 billion people on this planet. I don't know. All I do know is when I read that little clip, and that's how decisions were made for a village or for a tribe. That's how they made their decisions. That touched something ancient in me. Yeah. I don't know if it's possible in the world we have now. Is it possible for 1 generation ahead? That would be a miracle.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
What if we could bring that awareness to people? I think my sense of it as you're saying it, and I really do believe that you are doing this, that we all are. At least when we are aligned with ourselves and our joys and standing in that place of open and honest communication with ourselves and others, I think that we are doing that. It's kind of, and this may be Pollyanna of me, but I believe that that's our natural state when we're there. When we're there. And a lot of times we're not. We're lost in our thinking. We're caught up in the cultural narrative or the story.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking like maybe it's not as much what you do differently because you might do the same things, but maybe it's this awareness or mindfulness of like that being moved, like a sense of that openness to being touched, that wow, what I do reverberates through the
Yeah,
generations.
that it does. It's funny, I look at the shift in my life from a teenage dad who had kids, no decision. My entire talk with my dad around college was one day when he said, well, kiddo, it looks like you're not going to college. That was it.
Wow.
That was the college talk that my dad had with me when I was in 11th grade. And it never went any further, never got pushed. So hence my 2 weeks of junior college may not have set me up for the high educational plane in this world. But I look at the switches in one generation, how I learned from that parenting. I spent 15 years in a relationship to make sure I was even capable of being a parent, then had a kid, and yeah, that led to me being an older dad. But really, it's the transformation in one generation has been massive in my lineage, really beyond words. Um, I look at him sometimes, and that's what can bring me to tears instantly, is just thinking about where I started and where he is, how he shows up in the world, how I showed up every day. He's 18 years old. He's in there doing good stuff, making films for people, community that matters. Every day of my 18th year, I was on mushrooms or acid just to try and escape, to try and remove myself from this plane. And thank God some dude taught me how to juggle. And just like I saw some light, like that was like a little way out. And it was probably 5 years later, I won my first world juggling championship, which is insane. So it was somebody showing me a light, and it was somebody, no doubt, who saw the open and honest love that I had for it. And every day of that camp just kind of showed up to kind of say, hey, let's work on this pattern, this pattern. Like by the time I ended that camp, I remember going home and telling my parents, I was like, oh, yeah, something big happened there, and I'm not going back. Yeah, it was the great Rumi poem. I never went back to sleep after that summer.
Mm.
I was I had heard the secrets.
What woke up? What was it that woke up that summer?
It was funny, at the end of that camp, it was a 3-week camp. And at the end of that camp, me and this other guy who was in the little juggling group where this guy taught us to juggle, he and I did a little show on the stage. And there's a picture of it on Facebook. He and I in front of this sheet. It's like hanging on a bad curtain. Like we were literally in front of a sheet doing a show.
Oh,
and I don't know, we just juggled, like the audience was laughing and they were cracking up and they were kind of, I don't know. It was just like, holy cow, that feels good. That's the first thing maybe that really felt good. And I was like, oh, I don't want that to go away. So I went home and practiced juggling every night of high school till my little web of my thumbs and fingers here were kind of cracked and bleeding. And then, but the good thing is at a young age, we heal quickly. And in the morning, I was good to go again, usually. So
there's a joke there begging to be made.
There's a huge joke begging to be made.
No, don't do it.
Choose the high road.
Oh my gosh. So like what's kind of striking me from what I know about you and also what I'm hearing you say, which is, it's so great to hear you say this in answer to these and admittedly really big questions that I love to ask.
It's great. Yeah.
That what I see you doing is really what you'd most love to do, to live by example.
Yeah.
And that the example in particular that I see, because I see how it is for people, it's so inspiring. It's so big. It's like, if Barry can pull off this crazy shit, maybe I can do this. Maybe I could even do some crazy shit. And is that what, like when you're helping people, doing work with product launches, or you're working with these entertainers,
yeah,
are you coaxing that out of them too, or like almost like calling that out of them? I've seen like, hey, come on, bring it. Like swing. What's your swing for the fences?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, I think my 18th Showbiz Blueprint alumni, before we all shut down, did TEDx Durango. That was the 18th member of Showbiz Blueprint who did a TEDx talk. And I never even had that as part of the itinerary. I still don't talk about it. But what I do always talk about is, okay, you're here. What's it look like to play a little bit bigger? What's it look like to not just go on stage and do a magic act? What's something you want to say? And somehow some alchemy starts dancing around in their head and they think, wow, there's always been this thing. So, oh my gosh, people have done TEDx talks in my world And yeah, there's always been some sort of like juggling, or one guy used a little ventriloquism, or, one guy did magic and another person came out and sang. But man, somehow they extracted something. And yeah, maybe it was from hanging out in my world for a bunch of years. A guy who has done 6 main stage TED Talks never invented or cured anything. I mean, I'll just be clear about that. Mine was always around jokes and doing cool stuff with props. But just to be in that, it's had a rub off effect. So I think it has that mission of open and honest communication. Setting that example has been pretty good. Been pretty good for me. And the good mixes of, this is the great Beatles song. Really, since I've made a decision to live that way, all I've had to do is act naturally. I haven't had to like go, oh, now I have to put on my Barry leader hat and try and do. It's like, no, I'm going to show up, meet people where they're at, allow silence. Like, I'm really big in my coaching calls of silence. I don't mind silence. I'm so comfortable in that. It's kind of crazy. That back and forth in the head. Oh man, is he going to say something next? No, don't count on me to say something next. This is your work. This is great. Yeah.
I think the first time I had an experience of that with a coach was actually with Rich Litvin, which is where I started thinking about that, because the experience I had in this long silence was that I started coaching myself. I started talking myself through whatever it was that we were talking about, because he wasn't talking and I wasn't talking. And it was like there was a space for me to hear my own thoughts and for me to find something was a little crazy. And I thought, oh God, could I do that? And while I'm more comfortable, would I say I'm like really comfortable with it? Well, sometimes. I'm not afraid of it. See, I'm not afraid of it anymore.
That's great.
So I'm wondering, I'm really wondering, what is the next version of swinging for the fences for you on the other side of this COVID experience and everything that you're taking from it?
3 months a year in Costa Rica. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to, I don't want to bomb out easy on you. I do have some dreams about living other places though, for sure. Really a couple months at a time. I want to hit other countries. I've been lucky through juggling to travel around the world and see some other cultures, and the USA has always been home, but I don't know. Living a couple months here and there and running around and still doing my work from other places would be kind of fun. But I know, the inner track, the inside story, what's the next chapter of that? It's funny. There's been this relationship that I've been in now for since 1986. So yeah, 34 years or something. And it's always presented the next chapter of my growing. It always has, and I have no doubt it will continue to. So I don't know exactly what that is. I do know that my wife has always held a shiny mirror up to me, and if she sees something or a place from, like if I say I want to try something, she's like, "Of course you're going to do it." So she's always been the first level of me hearing that it's okay, my crazy ideas. And then that makes it easier for me to go, oh, okay. Like I was saying about the entertainer's State of the Union address, I went and told her that, and I was like, don't you have to be like, doesn't somebody have to ask you to do the State of the Union on something? Or don't you have to have some kind of title, Or it's like calling your own work poignant. I think that's a word that someone else should use about you. It's not something you should go, I just wrote this poignant book. It's like, yeah, you don't really get to say that. But I told her that. She goes, oh, that's great. Go do that. And then I was like, then I had like this little diving board just to go, okay, I'll go do that. And before I knew it, like an hour later, it was done and it was on my pages and the graphic was there and I was going to do this. And then I just started playing with, wow, if I got to make a State of the Union address, I kind of looked up what people say in State of the Unions, kind of like cover the past, present, and future. And I was like, oh. And then within 2 hours, it was all outlined. And then I just went live and did it a few days later. So the future, the next chapter, it'll probably play out like that. It'll probably be the State of the Future address and probably build it in real time. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be exciting, though. I'll tell you just some of the things I get to play with in my life. because of previous swinging for the fences. Sometimes I kind of think, wow, how am I in this conversation? How am I getting to do I was on a coaching call with Jeff Walker for all his new people in product launch formula the other day. It was like me and him and 300 and something people who had just joined PLF. And I was like, wow, I remember like being on this call in 2010 when I had bought PLF. And now I'm sitting here like Jeff and I are making jokes and shooting back and forth, like great coaching and I just think, okay, this is part of the path. It all happened after I made a decision to start living openly and honestly and not carrying secrets around in the dark parts of my brain, but instead keeping them in the light, and a lot of doors open then. And every once in a while, Steph, no matter how loud the little devil here is, like, you fooled him again. Oh my God. And that voice is being a professional juggler. That used to show up all the time. I'd be like in front of like the IBM in Rome. We got to do these 10 shows for IBM audiences. They cycled through over the course of 20 days. I'd be back there going, what the hell? This is the same act I used to do in tights at a Renaissance festival. How? Why? And then every once in a while, there's I should give you a second to get over the tights, me and tights image. Sorry about that. But every once in a while, there's something where I just go, okay, you didn't bullshit these people. Like, you actually deserve to be here. And one of those was like the first time I was ever at a TED conference in 2000. The first time I was like, okay, there's just certain times in my life where I go, this is a time where I'm being validated by something outside. This is not, I can tell myself I don't deserve this or I bullshit. And this is the kryptonite to that message. So I like those. I'm looking forward to way more of those in my life. I'd like those. Yeah.
So what I'm kind of getting my sense about this and the next dimension for you, it really feels like it's the jumping off point is your family, is your son, what you've left for him, the like connecting with the generation piece, and with your wife, what she's always been for you, what she continues to be for you. Almost like it's not as much now, perhaps, not that you won't swing for the fences and do amazing things, but it feels, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just like tossing this out there. It feels that it's less about doing the things as it is a deepening into the experience and an appreciation for what it is that you have and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, what if that could be the validation in itself?
Yeah. I got challenged on that recently in a men's group. I was sitting in, they were like, wow, you ever take time to just do that? And I was like, not too much. And so they did this kind of pretty interesting process where it's like, I think they call it like a king's court or something, where people just kind of take a second, like a minute, to acknowledge something they've seen in you. And I've been sitting in men's groups with these guys, I think for 12 years now. 07, 12, 13 years. For me, kind of hard to hear. So maybe the next chapter is being able to hear that with like, oh, okay. Taking it in, letting it do its alchemy on me, just hearing that stuff and being open to hearing it in that way. And I think that's part of, the word maybe in ancient times, it was called elder wisdom. They had like elders would kind of, they did more witnessing and more space holding and less like directing and less like do this and do that. That was left to the younger guys. So maybe as my 58 becomes 59 and 60, I'll be a little more of being able to kind of hold that bigger space for people and not feel such an important, that it's my time to sit in the left seat of life so much as maybe move to a, I don't know, first class seat, or not have to fly the plane, but just kind of enjoy the thing I built.
Well, now feel free to not answer this if you don't want to, but like, what was the feedback that you received that was that from the men's group that was like,
Mm.
oh.
It was stuff that they had challenges they'd seen me take on and doubt at first and then do the work, stay in the fire to go past the easy times when it would have been, I mean, boy, I imagine anyone who's listening to this has challenges that it would be way easier to say, yeah, it's not for me. I'm going to stop doing this and um, go back to sleep or whatever, or just let that go, or it wasn't that important. Um, Another guy talked about how this group meets every week. So there's a lot of chances to see things. One guy said, I said an idea in here 7 years ago, and it's still an idea. You said something last week, and it's already in motion. And he said, that'll be something I remember on my deathbed.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, that's my operating system. I just think if I have an idea and 3 hours later, something hasn't happened on it, I'm not good. Like I don't feel good. And we live in that culture, going back to the stuff we said, how we lean into technology. It's not unusual for me to have an idea and have a little squeeze page or a little website up about it in a couple hours, just a page, and just say, hey, if you want more information, just put your email address in here and have a little. It's not unusual. I wish it was unusual, but the technology is so easy to do that I feel like I'm selling myself short if I don't take some action within a couple hours.
So what was hard about hearing that from these men? Hearing this feedback about what they've seen in you?
That I don't see myself that way. That I just stay in the, oh, that's me, that's the, that's just, okay, yeah, you see who I am. But the effect, the compound, the reflection, setting the example, it's like I was doing my mission. I was doing something that was setting an example of how I live in the world. That's what's great. So you can't get 4 stories down on a Facebook feed. I promise you, if I grab this right now, within the top 4 stories, there's someone talking about what you should be doing. Why are you telling me that? Why are you telling me that what I should be doing? Why aren't you just doing it? And why don't I read about you in the news somewhere? Or why don't I see something in you that touches me and I go, wow, who's that? That's the interesting reflection I think I got back, was just that I was living a mission. Yeah,
that you were really living that, not telling people what they should do, but showing them, setting the example of how to live.
Yeah, and really doing what worked for me, and somebody witnessing in them, oh, I could use some of that in my life, or I'd like to do that with my career, because I tell you, in Showbiz Blueprint, there's way better entertainers than me. Oh my gosh. And sometimes there's a guy, and there's an alumni who had a Broadway show. There's a guy who has a sold out show for when the world gets back to going. I mean, he was sold out for 2 years in Boston on a Friday, Saturday night show, for an intimate show for 16 people around a table, sold out for 2. And, at that point, talk about reflection. He found something in that to learn from me as far as business. I'm like, dude, okay. So that's another one of those times where it's a validation from the outside that I didn't ask for. He didn't plan to give, but it's just one of those moments where the math doesn't work out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, is it okay if I share with you what I see in you? That feels like a no. I don't have to.
Not at all a no. No, it's like that's a gratitude for sure. Yeah, love that.
Oh, yeah. So, and may I have permission to what to say? Yeah, say just whatever's in my heart.
Yeah, and I think this will be a good model, and I'll remind myself this will be, because this is something we do in the group during that King's Court. The receiver is not allowed to comment or deflect.
So yeah.
This will be a good example for your viewers on how to accept, because there's probably a lot of people in your life who would like to tell you how they feel. And my projection is it's real easy to deflect that out.
Yeah. So I learned something. I probably heard this before, but I heard it differently in the last week from a friend of mine who was sharing how he said, I don't think that we should say to people, I think you're beautiful. He's like, that's a cop out. Or, I think you're amazing. No, instead, we're saying that because we don't have the courage to own how we feel, to own our experience around them. So I'm going to say this in that way because it's challenging me, and I think it'll be different for you to hear it in that way. So Barry, when I am around you, I feel so inspired, and I see you seem to me like I have an experience of your passion, your love of life. It's like, just like, hey, world, let's play. This is impossible. Let's do it. And it's something that I so respect, and it lights inside of me a fire to do that in my own way. It's just, I feel delight watching you do you. And, as I'm sitting here with you now, the thing that I would want to give you is just the awareness of that. Like, you just show up. For me, you show up in the room and that's there. It's not what you do. It's what you are. I feel such love and gratitude for you in the world and in my life. That you have the courage to show up that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And the brain rattles with 100 ways to reflect back and deflect and own. And good for you, man. And I'm glad I called it up front so your viewers don't think, wow, what an incompassionate bastard. How does he not just address, how great Steph is? And so that's why I'm doing it. I'm just taking it in. So yeah, thank you for that.
This is for me too. I think this is for all of us really, but this is for me. I notice how much easier it is for me to be that for someone else, to reflect for them their amazingness and their beauty. And then when it comes back to me, I have to bite my tongue. I have to open my arms, keep them from clutching over my chest. I have to consciously say, oh, wow. But then there's a place, if I drop all the thoughts about what that means and I simply just connect with that person and the feeling, it's not about me and it's not about them. It's mutual. You can't have that receiving without the giving. Yeah. You can't have that giving without the receiving.
That's right.
And yeah, there's something to sit in that, I think. That's the quality that I sense is deepening in you. So it's not about doing crazier things, and it's not about taking a back seat to me. I think it's allowing more of that to be there, allowing more of you to be, to acknowledge more of you.
Love that.
Right? Does that?
That's great. I love that. That's real good words around the feeling. I think I was kind of playing with the idea of not flying the plane and instead watching, but really what it is being the plane, just saying, hey, this is a safe container. You know what? I love that.
Yeah.
It's really good.
There's this beautiful metaphor that, when we are creating, we are not the artist. We are not the painting. We are the brush. We are the pen. We are the vehicle. I'm the plane. I'm the, life flies through me. Life creates through me. And I think when it's less about us, it's not about us anymore. Let me just talk about myself. The less I judge what comes through me, the good and the bad. I'm not attached so much to all these. I'm whoa, that was freaking cool that just came through me. Or I'll be ooh, that kind of was a little icky. But it's not me. It's I'm this room, I'm this plane, I am this pen or this vessel through which all of these experiences come through. I get to be more with whatever that vessel is that's me, because I have a certain set of experiences that tend to come through me. And I'm blessed that, wow, for me personally, I look around my life, I'm there's so much love. I have these amazing conversations and connection with people and love, everywhere I look. I'm how did I get so lucky?
Yeah, there's no technology involved in that, no electronics. That's hard, man. And that's probably at least one generation out stuff. One generation out stuff, Steph. So I will tell you, at least one generation out. I mean, and that's the essence of humanity and connection. And I see you that way.
Mm, I
Yeah,
can't even know. We can't even know. All I know is that right now it feels like it extends across the whole universe.
yeah,
You know, the energy of you, I feel like that extends through, I mean, just the ripple effects that I can even imagine, that I'm like, yes, please give me more of that. Bring
mm,
more of that to the world, that willingness to play, and to play, to feel afraid, to insecure, to have doubts and play anyway, just not to take them seriously. Like, okay,
yeah.
how cool.
Ah, yeah, I love it.
So, wow. Thank you so much, Barry, for this, for showing up as you here and sharing some of what is happening in your world and what you're seeing. Um,
You promised you had no idea where we were going to go. You delivered, and that's fantastic. And I love that.
oh, well, like what is most meaningful for you in this conversation? Like what are you taking from it?
You know, what I'm feeling right now around this is that it's just a pure non-agenda driven connection uh, about what's happening inside and the beauty of those, and how came at a perfect time. I needed that. I deal a lot with what's happening up here, and what's happening out there. And this was a real nice conversation about what's happening in here. And
Mm.
it'll unfold through its own alchemy as I go walk my dogs for an hour in the Sierra Mountain woods, and yeah, I get to just kind of feel into it.
Mm.
Thank you. It's great. Oh, and one other thing that comes up is, I've gotten to watch you grow and pivot and dive around and play and create for more than 10 years. And this is a good stop on the Stephanie train. This is a good stop.
Oh, thank you. I like that. This is a
That's
good
another thing that comes up for me.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah, there's something, I feel like I got to touch your soul a little bit. Like that's what I feel from this, what I'm taking. And I'm like, oh God, so precious. So like, it feels so good. And I'm so grateful and so blessed, and excited to see how this moves through you in the world, and your son, who is amazing, by the way. I mean, you know that, but you don't need me to tell you that. Just watching from the sidelines as I have, to watch him grow, and all the, like, with such full permission to indulge any quirkiness or interests or, direction that he is inclined to go in, is amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. It's funny from a parenting side. I remember early on, for me to tell him, yes, no, do this, do that, would have required me to think I knew better. And oh my gosh, I don't know better about much. So I've really enjoyed kind of going, oh, that's what it looks like to do this, or that's what it looks like to jump off this 30-foot high bridge over the river like he was doing the other day. I'm like, and do a backflip with a twist on the way down. And I'm like, I wet my pants just looking at it. So who am I to don't do that? Or, I'm just like, dang, that looks good. So,
Oh, wow. So cool.
cool.
So Barry, if someone was to want to connect with you, where should they go online? Your website, social media, something like, where should they go? Where would you like to send them?
Yeah, I wish I was a big social media guy. I tell you what, if you're a magician or a juggler or ventriloquist, Showbiz Blueprint's probably kind of a cool place. Showbiz Blueprint. And besides that, you can find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, and any of the others, the Instagrams. I just changed the Instagrams. I love that. It's, I don't even really use that.
Is that like the Googles?
It's like the Googles. It's like the Googles, man. It's pretty close. It's a neighbor. I broke the Zooms.
Oh, people are breaking the Zooms and swearing at the Zooms like every day these days.
Oh, man. The Zooms. Well, yeah. So poke me out. LinkedIn, I'm on too.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much again, Barry. It's been such a pleasure.
And if you're, last thing is if your name happens to be Barry Friedman, we have a Facebook group called My Name is Barry Friedman. There's 13 of us and it's amazing. That's a real niche though. That's
beautiful.
Bye, you guys.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for joining me for today's Wildspire conversation. If you'd like to receive a weekly Wild Creation email from me filled with more inspiring stories, marketing experiments, playful questions, new podcast episodes, videos and freebies, and anything else I'm playing with, go to theawakenedbusiness.com/wild creation. Until next time, may you know yourself as the gorgeous wild creation you are.